Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary Tim Wood.
This is all about helping people. That is why I am so passionate about this, because it's literally getting up every day and helping people plan for the rest of their lives. Make a plan, because I promise you're going to sleep better.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Let's sit down. Let's make sure we have got a holistic plan. We're not just looking at one thing.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
And we welcome you into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. Alongside Tim Wood, he's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. We hope you're having a great day, and we thank you so much for being with us here on the show. Coming up on today's program, Tim and I are going to tell you how to reduce your risk in the market without sacrificing growth opportunities. Plus, how to avoid some unforced errors when it comes to your retirement planning. And later on, is there a magic number you should be aiming for when it comes to estate planning? We'll get to that and much, much more. But first things first, we say hello to the man of the hour, the star of the show, and my good buddy Tim Wood. And Tim, it is always a pleasure to be with you, sir. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
I am, Kevin. I hope you're doing well, and I hope everyone listening is doing well. And now that we're deep into fall, everyone's enjoying the leaves and the late football season. Getting into when the games really, really matter. And I'm just excited about a really good show this week. I think we got some good stuff.
Well, listen, hopefully everyone out there is enjoying the fall weather. It is a friendly reminder, folks, that the holidays are right around the corner. End of the year planning is certainly in full swing. And Tim, for those folks listening today that really, maybe they want to, try to stay ahead of the curve, try to get on your calendar now as opposed to doing that later in November and December. Opportunity still for our radio listeners to schedule an opportunity to speak with you and get a jump on that year-end financial planning, isn't there?
Absolutely, and now is the time to do that because, things slow way down after Thanksgiving. People in my office are taking time off. I'm going to be taking some time off and going to Atlanta for some stuff. There's going to be, a lot of stuff going on. So, right now is the best time to get together. Just give us a call or get online and you can schedule a time. We still got plenty of openings between now and Thanksgiving.
We certainly hold some spots for our radio listeners. If you want to get on Tim's calendar, keep this number handy, folks. It's 800-913-SAFE. Again, folks, that number is 800-913-7233 or online anytime. The website is safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, we just passed the 96th anniversary of the 1929 stock market crash, which certainly helped usher in the Great Depression. And CNBC and the New York Times financial reporter Andrew Ross Sorkin has come out with a new book about that time. It's called 1929. And recently he told 60 Minutes that the market run-up we've seen lately now mirrors a lot of the overpriced bubble from 1929.
I would argue to you that the economy is being propped up almost artificially by the artificial intelligence boom. There are hundreds of billions of dollars that are being invested today in artificial intelligence. This is either a gold rush or a sugar rush, and we probably won't know for a couple of years which one it is. We will have a crash. I just can't tell you when, and I can't tell you how deep. But I can assure you, unfortunately, I wish I wasn't saying this, we will have a crash.
Well, and then hopefully we all look at that and hope that he is wrong when all's said and done, Tim. But for folks who are listening today, they're nearing retirement. Maybe they come in and sit with you and they've got too much market risk in their portfolio. So what are some ways our listeners can reduce that risk without ultimately sacrificing growth opportunities and for the long term?
There's a couple of different ways. But before I answer your question, I want to say that Andrew is literally mimicking what I'm telling people on a daily basis. I don't know whether it's going to be tomorrow or next month or next year or 5 years from now. But at some point, what goes up does come down. We're in a bubble. Every bubble bursts. It's not going to keep going the way it is, people. Sooner or later, there is going to come a correction, a whatever you want to call it in the market. That is coming. At some point, that is coming. So When you're younger, you don't really have to worry so much about it because you've got plenty of time to recover. When you are at or near retirement, that's when it is crucial that you make sure that you have got what you need to have saved for retirement protected. So to answer your question, what can they do? It really depends on exactly what they're needing. If they are just still wanting pure growth, so let's just go, because someone that's in the market, they're just looking for pure growth. So let's just go with pure growth on this example right here. If someone is wanting pure growth, there are ways to still have pure growth with no chances of losses and being able to lose all those management fees, whatever you're paying someone to manage. So, a couple of different options. Option number one is we could just do a flat fixed rate product. There are still some very competitive, very attractive rates out there right now. Now, the rates change every day, so I'm not going to quote rates on this show because I would literally have to get with someone, and the day they're ready to go, we pull up I've got a search engine that literally shops all of the A-rated companies. We see who's going to be the best with the best rates with whatever benefits you want, and that's the one we go with, whoever's got the best rate that day, kind of like a CD. If you were going to get a CD, you technically could call around to all the banks in the area and find the one that's got the best rate that day and go with that one. That's what I do. That's one option. It's a great option. There are options out there for up to 10 years that you can lock in a very attractive rate. And in some of those, if you wanted to, you could take that interest off without any penalties. So what I have some people do, for example, I have a client just about a week or so ago came in, nice large chunk of money, but he wanted to make sure he preserved that chunk of money. So you got a chunk of money, we can put it into what y'all always hear me talk about, a guaranteed income plan, but that's going to eat up that chunk of money over time. But it pays you a high payout, but it's going to eat up that chunk of money over time. He wanted to ensure that chunk of money was still there because he wanted to pass it on as a legacy. So what we did was we put him into one of these fixed plans, and he could take the interest out as income. So essentially we put him into a fixed plan. Now you don't have to. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying that's an option for people. He could have just let it just compound, and it's true compounding growth. I'm talking about compound interest, not simple interest. Big difference. Big difference. But there are plans out there that you can just get it into a fixed rate, know how much you're making for how long, and if you ever want to take an income, you can. Conversely, there are also plans out there, and people that have read my book know that I talk about the plans that you can reallocate every single year. And there are a lot of plans, and this is actually mostly what I do, are plans that allow you to determine how you want your money to grow every single year based on the market, based on what's going on all around the world. And, you know, between the fixed and between maybe the S&P and the Morgan Stanley, there's a lot of different indexes based on the product, but every single year you can adjust your percentages. Right now, I've got a lot of people that are moving out of the market and moving into the fixed for this next year because there's so much potential for challenges over the next year. Mm-hmm. But 12 months from now, they may be going back, and you don't have to do 100% in one or the other. You can kind of mix and match. So yeah, there are multiple different ways of being able to still get good growth, market-like growth, with no chances of losses. And all of the plans I've got, your absolute worst case scenario is 0%. Mm-hmm. Can't lose any. Worst case scenario, if you put everything against what one of those market indexes did and it went down, the worst thing that you would ever have with me is a 0.
Do you find that people that when they hear that, again, I know as humans, we're kind of wired to be skeptical when we hear, there's no chance, or, this is the worst scenario. Do you find that maybe that's why folks, and again, I know we've talked about annuities on this show, people are hesitant at times because they go, well, that just, honestly, it just sounds too good to be true when all's said and done.
I do. Yeah. All day, every day. So yeah, we basically, it's what I explain. Here's how I explain it. I'll do it real quick. When someone is looking at, let's just say retirement was a pyramid. Mm-hmm. So if you visualize a pyramid in your mind, on one side of the pyramid are fixed products, and on one side of the pyramid are variable products. Well, they're exactly what they sound like. On the variable product side, it can go up, but it can go down. That's your typical brokerage. That's anything that has any losses. That's even potentially variable annuities. So anything that's variable, and that's a totally different license that anybody at our office has. We do everything on the other side of the pyramid, which is all fixed, which can have multiple different ways for it to grow, but no losses are even possible. So that's normally how I explain it to people is Now, could you potentially have more growth on the variable side? Yeah, you could. I'm not going to lie and say you can't. You absolutely could get more growth in the market. But guess what? You also could lose every penny of it in the market. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference is, there's nothing in life is free. So yes, you might be giving up a little of the top end or whatever, but you're totally getting rid of the bottom end. There is no bottom end. So yeah, I mean, it's something that I have to really work through with a lot of people and let them do their own research and research fixed products and understand what they are versus variable products. And then understand that everything that anyone at Safe Money Retirement, anybody you ever speak to at Safe Money Retirement, all we do are fixed products. So there's no chances for losses.
If you're out there listening today, maybe you've been following the headlines, maybe you're getting a little nervous as you approach your retirement. You want to make sure your portfolio isn't riding too close to the edge. Well, now's the time to take a look. And the person that can help you with that is the one you're listening to on the radio right now. That's Tim Wood. He is the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. And folks, he is just a phone call away. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233 or online anytime. It's safemoneyretirement.com.
It's now time for our Save Money Story of the Week. Visit SaveMoneyStories.com to view more.
For this week's Safe Money Story of the Week, I'm going to do something that actually goes right along with what we were just discussing that Andrew Ross Sorkin was saying about at some point a potential crash is coming. So I had a gentleman come in. He's actually single. He's a widower. And his wife had passed, I think, about 3 years ago-ish. I can't remember exactly. And what he actually had a very large, it was multiple millions that he had in a brokerage account. But he is completely convinced that that market crash is coming sooner rather than later. I mean, he thinks any day now is what he was thinking. And so he wanted to make sure that he had what he needed to have protected. Now, he didn't want to move all of it. Let's just use round numbers and say he had $2 million. It wasn't exactly that, but let's just say it was that. He didn't want to save all of that. He still wanted to be able to quote unquote play in the market. And that's cool. All right. What we need to do is we need to move how much do you need to protect if we have another 1929. And that's the discussion I had with him. And we basically sat down and figured out, okay, how much do you definitely need? And it was actually a little over $1 million. It was about 1.2 or so that after doing some calculations, we figured out this is how much you absolutely need in order to get you through the rest of your life 100% and you're good. And that's all that we did. And he kept the rest in the market. And that's totally fine because he can still, play the market. And, when he gets those hunches and sees those penny stocks and all that stuff, go get them. You've worked your whole life to build all this. If you still want to play in the market, you absolutely should. But we need to make sure what you absolutely must have protected for your retirement is, and that's what we did for him, is we basically put him into a product, and he also wanted to be in a product that allowed him to change how his money grew every single year. So that's what we did, is we moved him into a product with no fees, with no chances of losses at all ever, and every single year he can choose between how much he wants to have grow on a fixed percentage, how much he wants to have grow against what the S&P does and the Morgan Stanley. There's a whole list of things in this particular product from an A+ rated company, and that's what we wound up doing for him. He left incredibly happy knowing that no matter what happens, he's at least got that 1.2 million. And the great thing about this plan we got him into, every year when there's growth, that growth now locks in and that now becomes the new floor. So let's just say in 2 years, let's say it grew another 100,000 and it went from 1.2 to 1.3, just to say it did that. Okay, great. Well, now the crash happens. Okay, well, worst case scenario, it's not ever going to be below 1.3, even if he had all of his chips in against the market and not in the fixed. That's what made him really happy, is he knows he's never going to be below 1.2. Every year, if there's growth, it gets locked in. He left literally ecstatic. It's a perfect plan for him. He was happy as he could be and really happy with his plan.
Well, if that sounds like you, maybe you're nearing retirement and you've got some questions about where you are risk level wise when it comes to reading the headlines. 1929, has that got you thinking twice about your retirement? Well, sit down with Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. Help him put a plan in place as you're looking for growth opportunities, of course, without that fear of market downturns. Tim and his team, they are here to help, and they're just a phone call away. He can help safeguard your investments while still participating in market growth opportunities. He'll also give you the peace of mind to know that hard-earned retirement is protected against market losses. So if you'd like to learn more, pick up the phone. Give him a call today at 800-913-SAFE. Again, folks, that number is 800-913-7233. The website anytime is safemoneyretirement.com. Again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, we got to squeeze in a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We're just getting started on this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood, and we're back right after this.
Hey, it's Glenn Beck. Do you still have all of your retirement money at risk in the market? Most know that I don't do that. It's way too dangerous, in my opinion, at least. The fact the market could fall off a cliff tomorrow, yet many don't have an expert you can trust. Let me tell you about Tim Wood. Now, he's the owner of Safe Money Retirement. That's a certified financial fiduciary and a best-selling author. I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that he and his team can help you plan your own guaranteed lifetime income streams to cover you and your spouse and grow your money while protecting it from a market crash. Go to safemoneyretirement.com/Beck or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I just don't trust anyone, and so do your own homework with Tim at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and book your free discovery call with Tim online or call 800-913-SAFE and get started today.
Welcome you back into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. Alongside Tim Wood, you know who he is. He's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin, and of course, we thank you so much for being with us each and every week. Set a reminder, join us on the program, and of course, if you'd like to learn more about any of the topics Tim and I cover on the program, keep this number handy, folks, 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233 or online anytime at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, to pull back the curtain just a little bit for our newer listeners, they probably don't realize you and I are huge football guys. Like, we look forward to Saturdays and Sundays, but you know what? If you're a big fan, there's football on 7 days a week now. Isn't this glorious time of year?
It absolutely is, and especially if you've got YouTube TV. I mean, sometimes I during the summer, I was still watching games from last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. And the 4 games at one time on a screen, my wife thinks literally just her and my daughter were having a discussion last night about me having ADHD because I'm watching 4 games at one time, and I think it's awesome. And I'm just changing the audio back and forth and full screen and so, yeah, it is awesome.
It really is. It's so funny. My mother is 76 years old, and she comes down to visit from Philadelphia, and I'll put Red Zone on because she still can't get the fact, why can't we see the Eagles? I can't find the Eagles on TV. I'm like, well, you're not in Philadelphia. First off, that's a good place to start. But she can't grasp the concept of Red Zone. Wait a minute. I thought we were on that game. Now we're over here. Now we're back to this. Like, the jumping around gets to be too much. But you and I were just talking about this off air. We both saw this happen live a couple of weeks ago. For our listeners who aren't big-time football fans, the name Amari DiMercato might not mean a lot to you, again, unless you're a diehard fan of the Arizona Cardinals. But Tim, he became infamous just a couple of weeks ago for a touchdown. Well, he should have scored, but he dropped the ball on the goal line just before he broke the plane. And here's how it sounded on CBS Sports just a couple of weeks ago.
DiMercato off to the races. Touchdown. A 72-yard sprint. He may have dropped the ball. Did he drop it early? You see him kind of put it on his fingertips, but did he have control before that thing broke the planes?
Ruling on the field of a touchdown is under review.
And they reviewed it, Tim, and they would overturn it. It became a fumble into the end zone. That would have put the Cardinals up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Tennessee comes all the way back and wins the football game. They stunned Arizona. So, Tim, for our listeners who are approaching that goal line of their 9-to-5 job, how can you help them avoid some fumbles when it comes to their retirement planning? Make sure they get all the way into that end zone when all's said and done.
Yeah, you and I were talking offline. Again, we tell people it would be great if they could hear our offline conversations all the time. But right. Watching that game, that was just ridiculous. And why that is still happening in 2025. But yeah, the kid literally just tossed the ball up. I don't know if he was trying to showboat. I don't know what that was all about. I don't get it. But anyway, yes, when you are getting into retirement, there are some things. And the thing is, Amari can still have a great career. He can still have a Hall of Fame career. He can overcome that. But the difference is in retirement, if you fumble, you might never get the ball back. That's the difference. So there are some things in retirement. For example, if you have one chunk of money and you still leave it all at risk and the market goes down by a significant amount, well, it depends on how old you are and how long you live. Are you going to have enough time for it to recover? And plus, if you're going to need to take income off of that while you're trying to recover, it can be impossible. For those that have read my book, my dad tried to do that. That's why he lost 75% of his retirement in his first 4 years and had to go back to work for almost a decade. So yes, there are some things. Number one of the biggest fumbles is not preparing to make sure that you do not run out of money before you run out of life. We've got to make sure that the money you've got to have in retirement, and that starts, number one, with income. Income is what brings happiness in retirement. Y'all hear me say that every single week. We've got to make sure your income is set, number one. But then number two, everything else, we've got to make sure that you've got the growth that you want and how you want, without having to worry about any losses. Now, like the gentleman I was speaking about just a few minutes ago in the Safe Money Story of the Week, if you still want to have money in the market, do it. I've got money in the market. That's great. Doesn't matter. What matters is you've got to make sure what you need to have protected is there so you don't outlive your money. The second thing is changes in the market. People think that all of a sudden, just because, the market's been doing this, well, the market's been great this year. Yeah, it has been. The market was great right before 2000. The market was great right before 2008. The market, I could give you all kinds of instances all the way back to the crash of 29 when the market was great right up until ... So making sure that you're prepared for changes in the market. Also, inflation. One of the biggest things and one of my biggest gripes about what a lot of financial planners do when they're planning for retirement for someone is they don't take into account inflation. Now, you need a guaranteed income to cover your floor, to cover what your amount is right now. Absolutely. But you also might need some money that you can kick on at some point in the future, or extra money you can pull from in the future when inflation goes up. Because what are you going to do if at some point a gallon of milk really is $10? Mm-hmm. Well, you can't live on the amount you've got now. It's not going to happen. So making sure that you're prepared for inflation so that doesn't overtake you. And then lastly, medical expenses. This is the biggest variable that people have because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you may be one of the lucky ones to live a very healthy life and just lay down one night and never wake up. I mean, that's kind of what we all hope for. That'd be great. Hallelujah. But not necessarily. I mean, that's not what happens for most people. So making sure that you're prepared, making sure you're in the right plan. Now, that's not something I personally do, but I certainly have people on my team that can help make sure that you are in the right, whether that's a Medicare Advantage plan, whether it's a Medicare supplement plan, whether it's a drug plan. I mean, that's a whole other thing that we don't normally talk about on this show, but making sure you are in the right plan with the right deductibles and maximum out of pockets and all of that stuff, because medical expenses can really come back and bite you in the butt if you're not prepared.
No doubt about it. And if you'd like to learn more about how taxes could play a major role when it comes to planning for your retirement, maybe you're inching close to the goal line, you're right there on the cusp of getting into the end zone, and you'd like to learn more about how to push it across without those unforced errors, Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. And folks, he's just a phone call away. 800-913-SAFE. Again, that's 800-913-7233. The website is safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. SafeMoneyRetirement.com. So, Tim, we've talked magic numbers on this show before, and I'm sure if you ask someone how much money they should have before they worry about a will or a trust or an estate, they might tell you $1 million. This is according to a new survey from Schwab. But I saw an article on MarketWatch.com says that number is actually a lot less than that. So when it comes to the estate planning piece and drawing up all the important legal documents, do you find that there's a magic number that you have to get to, or is this another one of those, scenarios where everybody out there listening, everybody's opportunity and situation is completely unique?
It is completely unique, and this is similar to something that we spoke about just a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, basically people think that they've got that magic number in their head, but it's all about your situation. Mm-hmm. I mean, for one person, it may be $5 million, and for another person, it may be $300,000. And they may be able to have the same level of enjoyment in their retirement. It's just based on what do you want to do in retirement? What kind of bills do you have now? What kind of lifestyle do you have now? What kind of lifestyle do you want in retirement? So yeah, there's really not a magic number. I don't want anyone out there to think that they have got to get to a certain number in order to have the retirement that they want, because it's all about what you want. You know what I mean? I mean, Kevin, your retirement is going to be totally different than mine because you have different wants and desires. You and your Melissa are different than me and my Melissa. Mm-hmm. So every single person is completely unique, and we have to look at every single one completely unique. But basically, at any given time, 60 to 70% of people don't have a will or any other estate planning documents. Now, That is a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't always need an estate plan, people. I'm not out here pushing estate plans. I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, I've got some that I work with, of course, but I'm not an attorney. So I'm not pushing estate plans. If you need one, great. Hallelujah. Let's get you one. You need a will. Mm-hmm. You need a will, and you need to make sure your beneficiary documents are up to date. Those things are absolutely vital. And when you get to the point where you're getting older, you need to have someone that you trust with your life that can have a durable power of attorney that can make medical decisions for you. Those things you absolutely need to do. But do you have to have an estate plan? No, you do not have to have an estate plan. But you do need a will so everything can be done like you want it to be after you're gone. But again, making sure those beneficiary documents are up to date, because believe it or not, a beneficiary form trumps a will.
Wow.
Yeah. So those beneficiary forms are vitally important. But basically, the last thing that I wanted to mention is I saw that survey, and 97% of the respondents said they intended to give away, donate, or pass on money. But again, only 57% had a will, and only 18% had something they described as an estate plan. So again, we need to sit down and make a plan. Does everybody need an estate plan? No. But we need to know, okay, I could pass literally right this moment. What's going to happen? I know. Mine's set. I know exactly what's going to happen when I pass, and you need to know. You need to know exactly what's going to happen. And if you need an estate plan, or if you need a trust, or there's several different ways we can go, but it's sitting down with someone individually and saying, okay, I know we don't want to talk about it. Kevin, nobody ever wants to talk about their death.
Right.
It's one of the hardest things to get someone to talk about and to put themselves in the mindset of, okay, I'm gone and it's just my wife and my daughter here. What do I really want to happen? And sometimes there's tears. Y'all have heard me say I literally have Kleenex in every office here because it happens. I mean, people, I don't really want to think about that. I know you don't, but we're going to do it anyway. Right. Sorry.
Right.
So yeah, just making sure that you've got a plan. That's what it boils down to. And for everybody, it's going to be totally different. So don't think there's a set number you got to get to. Just think that you've got to have a plan that works for you.
Yeah, maybe you've been chasing that magic number and you've been getting, a little dejected or maybe a little frustrated. Well, you heard Tim say there's not a magic number, but you do have to have that plan in place, whether it's a will, estate planning documents, beneficiaries. These are all important boxes you need to check, and they're not boxes you want to check on your own. Let Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement help. 800-913-SAFE. Again, it's 800-913-7233. Or you can always reach out and contact Tim at the website. It's safemoneyretirement.com. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. beneficiary.com. So, Tim, we are very quickly running out of time. It's hard to believe this show has just zipped right on by here today. But before we do run out of time, sir, the floor is once again all yours for the final word.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Great show. Hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm actually going to tie all three of these stories together really quick. So you need to make a plan. We just discussed that. So number 2, you don't fumble like he did. Let's make sure you don't fumble your retirement because, like the very first story we did, at some point, this growth that we're having is going to turn around. Is it going to be another 1929 type crash? Good Lord, I hope not. Everybody hopes not. But could it happen? Could it happen in 2029? Could it happen before? Make sure you're ready. Make sure you have sat down with someone that's going to give you an honest opinion from a certified financial fiduciary that's only going to have your best interest at heart, and make sure you're talking to someone about your specific situation, not someone that's just trying to peddle whatever's going to make them the most money. Let's get you into a situation that's going to get you your own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.